The World Health Organization on Wednesday said that the deaths of 66 children in the West African country of the Gambia may be linked to contaminated cough and cold syrups made in India by Delhi-based Maiden Pharmaceuticals. In a medical product alert covering 4 India-made pediatric syrups, WHO said lab analysis had confirmed unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol as contaminants in them, which can be toxic and lead to acute kidney injury. WHO says that all batches of these products should be considered unsafe until they can be analyzed by the relevant national regulatory authorities. The products may have been distributed elsewhere through informal markets, but had so far been identified only in the Gambia, the WHO said in the alert advising regulators to remove these syrups from the market. The 32-year-old Maiden Pharmaceuticals, which has 2 manufacturing plants in Haryana, said it is not selling any product in India currently. Reports indicate that India is awaiting more information from the WHO, as the UN Health Agency is yet to provide the exact one-to-one causal relation of the deaths. WHO said that information received from India's Central Drug Standard Control Organization indicated that the manufacturer had only supplied the contaminated medications to the Gambia. The WHO's medical product alerts are designed to warn member states and public of the existence of dangerous medical products and encourage increased vigilance and appropriate regulatory action. It has issued 5 such alerts so far in 2022, 11 in 2021, 7 in 2020, and 11 in 2019. Most of the alerts pertain to falsified medical products that deliberately or fraudulently misrepresent their identity, composition, or source. The latest alert is the first instance since at least 2019 that a warning has been issued for contaminated medicines made by the genuine manufacturer. The deaths of 66 children in the Gambia is a blow to India's image as a pharmacy of the world. India is the 3rd largest producer of medicines by volume and the biggest supplier of generic drugs. India supplies over 50% of Africa's requirement for generics, around 40% of generic demand in the US, and 25% of all medicine in the UK. In FY22, Indian drug and pharmaceutical exports stood at $24.6 billion, growing from $22.4 billion in the previous year. So who is responsible for quality assurance of pharma exports from India? Darren Punan, a pharmaceutical law expert, tells more.
When it comes to drugs that are being sold in India, both manufacturing standards and product standards are something that the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, along with state drug controllers, are responsible for. And they look into whether companies are compliant with both good manufacturing practices as per Indian law, as well as product standards as per Indian law. But when it comes to products that are meant for export only, the product standard itself is not necessarily something that is regulated from an Indian law standpoint. The activity of manufacturing is regulated in India. Then they will make sure that the manufacturing standards are up to the mark. And to that extent, there is a requirement under good manufacturing practices to ensure quality control, or that you have a quality control department that ensures quality control. And if another country requires anything beyond what Indian requirements, for example, the US FDA does specific inspections of Indian facilities when that product is meant to be supplied for the US. And in the same way, the WHO, they also have a particular GMP standard, which other countries may rely on. Now, in GMP, the main things that are looked at are the plant and machinery, the staff that's being employed, the competency, the qualification, and to ensure that, for example, if there is a sterile activity taking place, how the sterility is maintained. If there is purified water being used as part of the manufacturing process, how are you procuring it? How are you storing it? How are you supplying it? And the product standards are going to be governed by a pharmacopoeia standard.
The pharmaceutical industry in India is currently valued at $50 billion. The domestic pharma industry includes a network of 3,000 drug companies and approximately 10,500 manufacturing units. It also has the highest number of US Food and Drug Administration or FDA compliant pharma factories outside of US. Consequently, several poor manufacturing practices of the industry came to the forefront, which initially affected many firms adversely, but over time led to the adoption of better measures which helped the sector to penetrate many markets and achieve global credibility. To understand if there are any systemic issues plaguing the pharma manufacturing sector that could lead to production of substandard products, we spoke to the former commissioner of the Maharashtra Food and Drug Administration.
The diethylene glycol, or DEC, that is found in the syrups, this is not new. So started from, I think, 82 onwards. Many such instances have happened. Few years ago, such instances were recorded in Jammu and Kashmir. Some children were affected. Under the Indian statute, the rules say that any raw material taken for the production of any drug has to be tested for its purity, and the record is to be maintained. Every batch that is manufactured, and before releasing it in the market, they have to also test the drug for its purity, that it doesn't contain any element or the chemical that is harmful. But whether these provisions are complied with or not, that's a big issue. When I was Commissioner FDA Maharashtra, I found that this particular practice of testing by the unit before the production and before the releasing in the market, the entire batch results, they are not checked by the regulatory authorities like the DCGIs, field offices, or the drug controllers of the state. And there is no mechanism of supervision by the central government also. They don't do it. These units are to be inspected by the drug inspectors very frequently. And one copy of such a report of the inspection by the drug inspector has to be sent to the drug controller, and he has to monitor it. Unfortunately, in this country, one copy going to the drug controller, it doesn't happen. Drug controller doesn't check whether this is happening or not. So it is the gross failure of the entire regulatory mechanism.
Only after the investigation into the Gambia incident is concluded will we know where the responsibility lies. If the lapses are found on part of the manufacturing plant in India, then both the state and central drug regulators could be held responsible. In the meantime, the damage to the Indian pharma industry's reputation may already have been done.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.